Alright, so over the past day or two, I've posted a couple videos that are a little more, I guess, like vulnerable maybe, or that kind of play into one of my, I guess, one of my big remaining fears. Over the past weeks, I've been tackling and becoming more aware of like fear of judgment, fear of criticism, fear of failure. And I think failure is probably one of the biggest ones that I've been tackling. But judgment, criticism are definitely big too. And I think this kind of falls into it. But I kind of wanted to talk about, the difference between arrogance and pride. You know, this is one of those things that like has kind of affected me a lot, or rather, I would say I've let it affect me. Where there were times in my life where I felt good about something, but I felt others made comments or others like bullied me or picked on me or teased me or whatever, and my conclusion was sort of like, okay, like I shouldn't feel proud, like I should be humble, right? I should I shouldn't show off. And I feel like this is kind of something a lot of us fall for, where we start to confuse the difference. We start to confuse what pride is with what arrogance is. And I think sometimes it can be like the people around you can not have any ill intention. Maybe they're just teasing you. Maybe they're just playing with you. But there's definitely people. There's definitely people too who I feel aren't kidding. Like they feel a discomfort in your success or in whatever. They're jealous or they're judging you or they're bitter or they resent you. I mean, there's plenty of reasons. And you know, I definitely think it's healthy to question our perception and to realize that just because we feel a certain way doesn't mean that that's what's happening. Our feelings are always valid, but they're not always right. And I think that's a really important lesson. And I think there's been times where I felt like people were being judgmental, or I felt like people were kind of minimizing me, or like minimizing my results or my successes. Um, and I kind of internalized that, And as I've been posting things, and with the last two videos I posted, they're a little more, in my perspective, in my experience, I'm feeling more proud, right? I'm feeling more confident. And I notice in my head that I'm afraid at times, or my mind kind of has thoughts or little urges, little spikes in anxiety or fear that I'm going to come off as egotistical. And so, it had me thinking, like, where does that come from? And, I think I realized that there's just been many times where I was proud of something and other people, it made them uncomfortable maybe, or maybe they were jealous, maybe they were judging me, you know. And, sometimes I pick up on that, I feel that way, but I kind of just didn't trust myself, didn't trust my feelings, and just assumed that I was overreacting. And, there's those people, there are people in our lives who, I mean, honestly, it's kind of manipulation if you think about it. Anyone that's telling you that your feelings are wrong, or that your feelings are just invalid, like, our feelings are there for a reason. We feel ways for a reason. And no one can tell you what you feel. No one can tell you what you feel. And, I think sometimes what people are trying to get at is that, like, maybe you feel a certain way, but maybe the reality is a little different, or the way they see it is a little different. And I've definitely been on both sides of that, where, like, maybe someone's venting to me about their frustrations, and they're feeling like, oh, like, this person was definitely, like, talking shit, or, like, just hating on me or just treating me really poorly, like this and that. And then, you know, it can be tough to like talk to someone who, especially in like an emotional state like that, when they're angry or really frustrated, you know, it does affect the way we perceive things. And that's another reason why it's healthy to, I think, to question our perception in a healthy way. And just realize that, you know, just because we perceive things a certain way doesn't mean that that's what the intention was or that's the truth. But our feelings are definitely, they're always there for a reason, right? And I think you should trust how you feel, and there's a difference between feeling a certain way and like what you choose to do in response to that feeling, right? And so something that's been helping me a lot is acknowledging how it is that I feel, building that awareness, raising that awareness of how I feel, but acknowledging that just because I feel this way, you know, it's up to me how I respond to it. And so, you know, I felt many times that there were a lot of times where I was proud and people took it as arrogance, or people teased me as if I was being arrogant. But I come to realize now, like, I think, you know, I've surrounded myself around a lot of toxic people, I feel. Whether that was their intention or not, you know, that's up to debate. But we can't always stick around to figure that out, you know? If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like people around you aren't serving your best interests, you know, you have to do what you gotta do, and you gotta take space. It's up to you. I mean, it can feel very hard, but it doesn't mean it's going to be very hard, you know? It can feel impossible, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. And I feel like that's just such a powerful lesson, and it served me so much in my life. And it's something that's continuing to serve me, and I think will continue to serve me plenty more as I continue on this journey. The past two videos, one of them was me talking about just sort of like things that might come off as egotistical, right? Like wanting to be great, wanting to be me, and kind of just setting those intentions, putting those like dreams or those aspirations out into the public eye. And that's like a scary thing, you know. I'd be lying if I said I haven't felt a little more of an uptick in nervousness and anxiousness and self-consciousness. And you know, that video, and then the one I just posted, which is my fitness video of checking in on like my weight, like on the start of my fitness journey, how much I'm weighing, how I look, how my body looks. And you know, it's the first time I'm shirtless in the video, and so I was a little more self-conscious, a little more nervous, a little more anxious then. And still now, you know, I'm still kind of feeling a little more defensive, or like, I guess just nervous, a little more fearful that, you know, if these videos pick up, you know, a lot of people will see them, a lot of strangers will see them. And, you know, I think whenever, like, people love to pick on the weak. People love to pick on people who are vulnerable, I feel. And it's easy pickings, right? It's easy to target someone while they're down. You see it, I feel like, with like racism, or just judging like certain groups of people or certain nationalities, racial stereotypes, shit like that, you know? And I guess, like, I mean, even just, I'm someone that's grown up around the internet. I've seen a lot of things. I've been around a lot of people who are really toxic, so I can see how ugly people can get. And I was also realizing too, like, in a way it's like a superpower, you know? Or it's an opportunity for a superpower. Everything that happens to us, you know, it's up to us to choose how to respond to it. And sometimes it's the things that hurt us the most. Actually, I feel like it's always the things that hurt us the most and make us suffer the most that really mold us and like help us become who we choose to become, you know? Because it's up to us. And people can respond either way, you know? I think especially with like fitness, and I've been on both sides of it too. Like when I was really fat and overweight, more than now. I mean, I think I'm pretty decent. But, you know, when I was like in just a terrible place in my life, I was weighing 270 pounds or some shit. The worst I've ever been in my life. And my mental state was horrible. Everything was just horrible in my life. And I was really pessimistic, really resentful, really bitter. And, you know, if I saw someone that was really fit, I'd probably feel judgmental. I'd probably feel bitter, resentful, you know? And you know, I've also been that person that's been very fit as well, or very successful in some other way. Um, you know, not that I'm like trying to be successful in like the eyes of others or in the eyes of society, but just trying to be me, just wanting to be me, loving myself, having a great relationship with myself, and like being proud of who I am. And you know, as I continue this, I realize like I want to make sure that I stay true to myself. And you know, for myself, I don't want to stray into being egotistical, but I'm gonna do that because that's what I want. That's who I choose to be and who I want to be. Not because people are like might maybe, or in my head, you know, I'm thinking people are gonna like shit on me or be like just angry or I don't know, shit like that. And so, you know, I feel like when we're faced with someone that makes us uncomfortable, when we feel a certain way, they make us feel a certain way, we tend to think that they're causing that, right? But I feel like any time that we feel something or something external affects us, even like a hate comment, you know, it affects us because we resonate with it, because we believe it to be true. If someone says I'm a fat ass, like if I believe I'm a fat ass, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna touch me deeply and inflict a little wound. Um, particularly if I was really fat. I think I'm at a point now where I've built up that callus, that mental callus, that tough skin to a lot of things, and I've also realized that you know it's everyone's projecting, man. Like everyone is living their own world. We're all in our own head. Everything's subjective, and I believe if someone's saying something to someone else that's really hateful, they're basically just talking about themselves. You know, they're projecting their own hatred, their own insecurity, their own jealousy, whatever. And that's the thing. Like, it happens to all of us, I think. I've been there, and I'm sure I'll still have moments like that. And the thing is, like, when you're comparing to other people, that's bound to happen, you know. There has to come a point where we decide that we're enough, that our value isn't based on other people, that we know our own value, we know our own worth. And it doesn't mean like lying to ourselves. There's a big difference between feeling a certain way and believing a certain thing. And I guess a big part of this journey is, you know, I know what I believe and who I want to be. And even if I don't feel like it, that's okay. Like it's about just accepting myself and working my way up and enjoying the process and becoming who I want to be, being proud of who I want to be, being someone who I'm proud of being. And yeah, whenever we encounter someone that kind of challenges our view of ourselves, I mean, it's up to us how we respond. Even if they make us feel insecure, they trigger some anger or resentment, you know, that doesn't mean that it's their fault. It's up to us to respond to that feeling. And essentially, I feel like there's two options. You can take it as, you know, just in a negative way. You can take it as like, oh, like this person is, you can judge them, you can be resentful, you can be bitter, you can blame the world, blame them, blame the system, whatever. And that's not to say that that's not a wrong approach, you know, there's definitely a lot wrong in the world. And there's definitely shitty people out there too. And, you know, it's fine to feel like people are doing shitty things, and, you know, your feelings are your feelings. No one can take that away from you. But, you know, when something like this happens, you can either choose to be really angry or use it as in some way, in some positive way. You can use it as a wake-up call to realize that you're an angry, bitter person, maybe, and you're constantly feeling shitty. You're constantly blaming other people, blaming external factors, and you know, it can be a wake-up call. It can be inspiration, and I feel like that's really what makes a difference. Accepting yourself where you are and choosing what path you want to take. What do you want to do with everything that happens, with those moments that trigger something like that? How you respond is very important in every moment, every decision. Most of the time it's probably an unconscious or subconscious choice, but it's a choice nonetheless. And as you build awareness, you can bring it to your conscious, to a conscious level, and eventually decide, you know, what do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with that feeling? And you know, that's up to us. It's up to us. And I think for myself, I want to focus on myself, use setbacks, use failures, use hate, whatever, and spin it in a way that I can learn from it and I can grow from it. And you know, I've experienced a lot of really shitty things. I've surrounded myself with a lot of shitty people. I can't change them, but I can change how I respond. And you know, I took a lot of space, I took a lot of distance from people, from things that were just a really negative influence in my life. And now I have the choice to respond to it, you know? And we can't change others, but we can change ourselves. So, I mean, that's my takeaway. I am choosing to focus on what I can control, choosing to use the things that have affected me negatively in a positive way, and just be who I want to be, and not worry so much about others. And in a way, I think being around all that toxicity, all that really negative shit, it's helped me build that that tough skin. And yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is. It's up to us if we want to use something horrible that happened to us as fuel, as soil to grow a new plant, a new seed, you know. And even if you feel like it's impossible, it's up to you to decide whether it is or not. And maybe it'll feel impossible for a very long time, but anyways, I guess I just wanted to ramble about that. And now I'm gonna just enjoy sitting here on this rock. I haven't done too much of that lately. I've been very active in doing things, but we don't always have to do things. Sometimes the best thing we can realize is that we don't need to do anything at all. It takes, you know, a lot of times we try and like brute force things. We try and just use willpower to do shit. Whether that's working out or working, you know, some people people hate their jobs and they don't want to go in and whatever, you know. But yeah, I mean, the only way to want something is to become aware that it's something that you want to change. And a lot of times we're just way too distracted, way too caught up in our lives to stop, to just sit, think out loud, put our thoughts into words, find that outlet, and figure out, how do you feel about where your life is? How do you feel about the life you're living? Are you living for yourself? Are you heading in a direction you're comfortable with, that you love? Or are you wasting your life away? You know? If the answer to those questions bother you, it's up to you to dive deeper, to build that awareness and realize what is not going well in your life. And once you realize you are not at all where you want to be, if that's the case, that's when it's not about willpower, it's not about should, it's not about saying, oh, I should do this, I should do that. You'll want to do it, because at some point you'll realize and you'll choose, like, okay, I'm rock bottom, I'm way, way, way far from where I want to be, but I know where I want to go, and I know this isn't it. I know where I'm at isn't it, and that's all you need to know. And from there, even if it feels impossible, even if it feels fucking dog shit, and you just don't feel like you're making progress, like, every moment matters. And you know, a lot of times when we slide into that life that we just hate and we just resent ourselves for, you know, we don't realize all those tiny decisions that just kept building that momentum and further onto the downside. And so, you know, the more you've dug that hole, the longer and the harder it's going to take to get yourself out of it. But if you decide, like, okay, starting now, I'm done digging downwards. I'm going to pause. I'm going to sit down on the bottom of this hole. and just think, realize what's happened, realize what I've done, take responsibility for what I have control over. Doesn't matter what other people do, we can't control other people, you know? We can only control our response, set our own boundaries, respect ourselves, and try to get to where we want to go. And decide, like, all right, I'm done digging downwards. It's time to figure out how the hell do I get out of this hole. And it takes pausing, it takes slowing down, it takes spending time with yourself, having those conversations with yourself to do that. And that's the hardest part. Once you do those hard decisions, future you will thank you for it. And at some point, it won't feel impossible anymore. As you make those small moments, it'll build and build, and that momentum will build in the opposite way. You'll start putting more and more dirt under you and standing up taller and taller, and eventually you're out of that hole, and now you're building a freaking, a skyscraper. You're building a mountain. Whatever. The analogy falls apart a bit, but yeah. And that's what I'm on the path to doing here. I realized I dug myself in a hole a few years back, and I've been in the progress of digging myself out. And I feel like I finally reached that point where I'm at surface level and I see where I'm at. I see all the progress, and I've seen the power of just small change day by day, and being very intentional, being very aware, realizing I don't need to do anything. I can just sit and just think and just build that awareness. And as I build that awareness, I will want to do it. And I will love doing it. I will love the process, and I know that in the future I'll thank myself for it. And I feel like that's finally at the point that I'm at. I'm at a point where every day I wake up thanking myself for the things I did yesterday, and the decisions I made yesterday, or the week before, 2 weeks before. And I'm starting to feel the confidence. I'm starting to feel myself again, and the momentum is just going to keep building. And eventually, rather than having automatic thoughts that I'm not aware of that are making me dig deeper, it's going to be working in the opposite way, and I'm going to keep rising higher and higher. And that's part of what scares me. People, if there's a bunch of people in a hole, they're going to hate to see you rising higher and higher. They're going to hate seeing you build up higher and higher and build up that mountain. But leading by example, I think, is the best thing we can do. And it's not about, we have to do what's best for ourselves, right? It's not about changing everyone else. Sometimes all we can do is change ourselves, and we'll actually bring about the change we want for others too. We'll give them that opportunity to choose, right? I can't choose it for them, but maybe as I improve my own life, as I become someone I want to be, there's definitely going to be the people that hate me for it, that resent me for it. There's going to be the people that are inspired by it, and it's up to us to make that choice. Are we going to hate someone for being someone we're not, for being someone that we want to be? Or are we going to choose to be inspired with them? And that choice is ours. And that choice is yours, right there. I see you. You thought I didn't see you? I freaking see you right there. Look at you. You're thinking right now very hard. You might be thinking, oh, what a bunch of baloney. What a buffoon. I'd already be typing a little hate comment. Probably not. If you were going to, you probably would have done that at the start of this video. No way someone that hates what I'm saying would get to 24 minutes in. But anyways, the choice is yours. What's it gonna be? And if you don't know what it's gonna be, that's great too. Or if you feel like you know what it's gonna be, it's all great. Anything is great. Everything is great. As long as you're aware of something, that's great. If you're aware that you're unaware, that's great. It doesn't matter where you are. Everything can change right now in this moment. It's up to you. Every moment is your choice. You can suppress the moment, you can suppress your thoughts, but it's up to you to build that consciousness and be honest with yourself, build that awareness with yourself, and decide what's it going to be. So what's it going to be? I don't know. I don't have control over that. That's up to you. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling passionate. I'm feeling alive. I'm going to enjoy my time here and just sit on this rock and build up my awareness. What are you going to do? Drop a comment in the chat if you made it this far and you know what you're going to do next. That's all for today. For now, at least. And thanks for listening. And thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.